All right, let's fucking start with Putin. Let's start with Putin addressing Moscow crowds after claiming landslide Russian election victory. That's right. Surprising for absolutely no one. But a fair and balanced election nonetheless.
Today's Verified Live. We start in Russia. Vladimir Putin has addressed thousands of people in Moscow's Red Square after claiming a landslide election win. The rally was held to mark the 10th anniversary of Russia's illegal annexation.
See, he seems so happy. Chat, he seems so happy. Very obviously, he's, you know, this was unexpected for him. You know what I mean?
Of Crimea was standing alongside 3 loyalist candidates who were allowed to run against him. President Putin said that hand in hand Russians will move forward. Western countries have condemned the election as neither free nor fair. The US has just called it incredibly undemocratic. President Putin described the Donbass and other parts of Ukraine occupied by Russian forces as part of a new Russia. Let's have a listen.
As for Novorossiya, Donbass, the people living there in those days of the Russian spring declared their desire to return to their native family. Their path back to homeland was much more difficult and tragic. But we did it, and that too was a great event in the history of our state. Now we are developing, we are marching together, we feel the fellowship. Just this morning...
Why does Putin's skin look so good though? Bro, he's got... Yo, leak your fucking routine, King. Come on. Come on. Leak it. It's bullshit. You're actually not wrong. Leak the fucking skincare routine. The girlies need to know, okay? The girlies that want to liberate Donbass need to know what your fucking skincare is, okay? Vampire facials.
I was told that the railway...
He's also unimaginably wealthy, so I think that probably helps.
From Rostov to Donetsk and Mariupol and Berdyansk has been restored. We will continue this work, and soon railway carriages will move all the way to Sevastopol, offering another alternative road to
Dude, I can't pay attention. God damn it, you guys are so fucking annoying with the fucking skincare thing. Now I can't even hear what he's saying. I'm literally looking at how he only has brow lines at this fucking age. He's like 72 years old. It's really messed up. You broke me. Now I can't even listen to him talk about why it's totally sick that like he's annexed Ukrainian land. I can't even fucking pay attention now. I'm locked in on the skincare shit. How did he do it? It's, I guess, makeup, right? I watched a Mariupol documentary last night. It was really good and very insightful.
Alternative to the Crimean Bridge. So together, arm in arm, we will go forward. And this action, not words, that is what makes us really stronger.
I doubt he does surgery. For people saying surgery, no shot that man fucking... He is a freak, dude. You're out of your mind if you think he's like going under anesthesia just to get a fucking facelift or whatever. No shot. He doesn't trust nobody. No way. Maybe Botox, but even then, I don't think micro Botox is kind of obvious. Probably micro Botox. I don't really know. He did, what do they call it? A preventative Botox. Bro's aging like a millennial? Yeah. Russian cosmetic injectables are next level. Have you seen Russian women? He trains doctors from the crib with his money to make sure they're 100% loyal. I could see that. Maybe he's just got untapped adrenochrome, dude. Like Russian baby adrenochrome is like way different. You know what I mean?
Well, that was Vladimir Putin in the last hour. Now, Ben Noble is an associate fellow for the Russia and Eurasia programme at Chatham House. He told me why this election was so important for Vladimir Putin.
The Kremlin...
I thought he was going to say Putin said it. Putin was like, this is most important election of lifetime. I know I say that last election, but this election, most important election of lifetime, okay? We cannot let the other guys win. Please vote for me. I am lesser evil. I don't know who would be more evil in that situation, but he'll just say it anyway.
We'll definitely point to the official result as proof that Putin is actively and enthusiastically supported by the vast majority of the population. But the picture is much more complex than that. Yes, there are some people who are ardent supporters of Putin, but there are also those that detest him. And more importantly, there's a large group in the middle with ambivalent feelings towards Putin. And the Kremlin has made sure that it presents to that large middle group Putin as the leader without alternative. So many people will have gone to the polls because of that. If not Putin, then who else? But also, we shouldn't forget the extraordinary propaganda in the country. And as I say, the Kremlin will demonstrate that Putin is...
Like, I think Putin's situation is very similar to Turkey, but even worse. And this is like, because Turkey is a NATO nation, Americans don't cover it in the same way. Whereas, like, Russia is a foreign adversary, so Americans do cover it very aggressively. But the reality is, like, he's popular. Okay? That's it. Like, and obviously he's very unpopular for certain demographics, right? And it's perfectly understandable. But I would go so far as to say Putin's probably more popular than fucking Erdogan is in Turkey. And Erdogan is always got that 51% locked in. Okay? Now, Russian elections are a little different because there is no real alternative, right? Like, because you will get thrown out of a building or die under mysterious circumstances, which he actually mentioned, which I think is crazy, right? You know, you just die. Whereas in Turkey, you don't just die. You get ritualistically humiliated. You have no access to the media. You could barely fucking put together a coalition. And you know, eke out like 48% of the vote. But overall, like, it's cope to say that he's not popular. You know what I mean? It's a sad reality for a lot of these places. There's a lot of old people, and there's a lot of reactionary people in Russia that fucking love his shit. Just like there's a lot of old people and a lot of reactionary people in Turkey that love Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And we always, like, every election cycle, we just like fucking lose our minds, and we're like, what the fuck is going on? What is going on? How is this possible? Like, how did this motherfucker win 51% again and again and again? Now, that's different, though. That's different. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is different because Turkish elections are free. They're not fair. Russian elections are neither free nor fair. Does that make sense? Putin is not 87% popular, but I'd go so far as to say he's probably like, you know, 60 to 70% popular, like with the country, among the voters. Like, that's not that big of a stretch, in my opinion. A lot of hogs, fellas, ladies, the emperors, a lot of hogs. They respond to the strong leader shit. They do. Shit ton of hogs. Hogs are universal. For those of you who don't understand, hogs are universal. Who knows what the real number is? You aren't allowed to criticize at all. Are you making a fucking a joke about the Mr. Bonarelli? Now, it doesn't really matter because there's no real opposition. Because, like I mentioned, real opposition gets pee-pee poofed, okay? Which is, you know, real aggro. Run a Putin popularity poll in the chat. Come to Brazil. We are literally about to jail our shitty former president like a real country. I know. Brazil is so sick, dude. It's so awesome. Oh, God. Lula is killing it, dude. Anyway. What will happen after Putin dies? Bedlam. Chaos. Real bad. So Putin's victory matches the independent third-party approval ratings. If Putin, which absolutely is not democratic, is more popular than Biden, what does that say about our democracy? I don't think you understand. I think that says more about, like, that is more of a problem with capitalism and democracy being completely incompatible concepts in general. A real question should be fucking the Chinese Communist Party and their consistent approval ratings by Western polling in comparison to like the American government's approval ratings. One is a democracy. The other is like a single party structure where there is localized democracy, but most of the dictation comes from top down. The reality of the matter is that if you have theoretical democracy, but it's a capitalist one, it's just not going to it's just not going to be a real democracy at all. Comparing a single party structure to a two-party structure, well, the Chinese government is a single party structure. The American government is a two-party structure that creates, which is the most American, most capitalist thing ever, the fallacy of, like, the false notion of choice. That's the major difference. Because ultimately, it is still uniparty. It's still uniparty in the sense that, like, look at the Democratic Party pushing for incredibly right-wing immigration policies right now. Right? My statement is, my belief is we should have a parliamentary structure and we should have real democracy, but you cannot have a real democracy under capitalism. And what a lot of people start reckoning with, and they will recognize this more and more, especially with Chinese global economic intervention, is that you can't really outcompete China because they command their entire economy. Real democracy is completely incompatible with capitalism. So we will arrive at the same exact fucking issue that we did 100 years ago, which is, what do we prefer? How do we manage this? How do we continue the capitalism, but also simultaneously organize so that we can, like, compete against Chinese intervention, for example? Well, we know how. History has shown us how. It's called fascism. And we're at that proto-fascist stage right now. I believe most people don't want democracy. They just want to be in charge, so they hide behind democracy while it's convenient. Maybe. I agree. I use democracy in quotes. When every workplace is a dictatorship, it's definitely hard to say we live in a democracy. Like, there are definitely marginal differences, right? There are definitely marginal differences between the democratic process or marginal differences between the two parties in the United States of America. But a lot of those differences bear themselves out or a lot of those, like, marginal differences don't even have to fucking exist. It's like perfectly manufactured and in an effort to make it seem like there are major differences. What is this? Chinese guy absolutely destroys a reporter from the UK?
Are you an ally? Are you a threat? How would you regard your relationship with Britain? First of all, between China and Britain, from the
Chinese guy. That's crazy. Isn't this guy literally like the fucking foreign minister or some shit? This is not just some Chinese guy, bro. That's so funny. Oh, that's hilarious. It's just some guy. Just some random Chinese guy in a suit just sitting there. Oh, that's cool.
Chinese perspective, Britain is not a rival, is not a competitor, it is not an enemy, is not an adversary. Britain is just an important country to get along with in peace and in friendship and for mutual benefit. Now, how Britain looks at China, it's up to the British government and people to decide. But I think it will be completely misguided for Britain to view China as an enemy or adversary or a competitor. What do China and Britain compete with? China is the largest manufacturer of automobiles, competing.
Yeah, he said, you blew a 13 colony lead. You're fucking washed. Okay, take the L. China on top. China number 1. Britain not even number 2. Maybe number 10. Okay, your empire too small. Your bitches are not bad. You literally eat mushy peas. What the fuck is that? Chinese food infinitely better. Permanent first world genocide. Fuck you.
With Britain? No. China is the largest exporter of EV cars and will lead the whole world in EV production. Is Britain a competitor? No. China will be the biggest and most important producer and R&D in terms of semiconductor in no time. Does that mean that China competes with Britain? No. China will be the leading nation in AI revolution. Is Britain a competitor? No. So I think British government should not overestimate its impact on the global scene and view Britain as a rival of China. China is not. China is a fact. China is a megatrend for Britain to live with and get along with. Let's make peace rather than agitating for war.
God damn. He really fucking cooked his ass, dude. China a Tiger 2 Sir vibes. Yeah, except the difference is like when Indian Twitter goes India a lion 2 Sir when talking about like, you know, the Israeli genocide of Palestinians, it's funny. When China is like, no, actually, like, here is what is actually going on in the global economy. It's just a factually accurate statement. That's the difference. It's an objective assessment of facts. Scary stuff. Yeah, dude, I know. Chinese electric vehicles flooding the market is fucking terrifying. Okay? I am so scared, dude. That's why like, what do you mean scary? Like, people that have been purchasing Chinese manufactured products their entire lives, like from birth to death, you have the overwhelming majority of products that you have consumed have in some way, shape, or form touched the Chinese factory floor, and now you're fucking terrified of it? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you are talking to me either on your fucking iPhone or either on your computer. Where the fuck do you think the parts were manufactured on either of those things? It's not scary. You've been conditioned into thinking it is scary. Okay? I love you, chatters. Please open up your mind a little bit. You have been conditioned into thinking this is a scary concept. Except, why is it scary? It's been happening your whole fucking life. Like, it wasn't scary in the 90s because China not a lion, okay? It's scary now because turns out we can't just like enslave the Chinese. Turns out they also are human beings. Turns out they have a pretty fucking big ass blossoming economy with, and they have autonomy. That's what's scary. And the reality is, if you think like it's any different in Indonesia or any number of different like places that we exploit regularly in the global north, you're wrong. The real reason why it's scary is because, well, the slaves now own the factories, okay? That's the fucking reason why it's scary. And they have a whole ass country. It's a actually good take too, by the way, with respect to like banning EVs and stuff, because we're going to talk about Donald Trump talking about that over the weekend as well. He's like 100% tariffs. 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs is what he was talking about. So we'll do that. Ford sees colossal competitive threat in low-cost Chinese EVs. Yeah, I mean, it is real. This is a real issue. This is a real issue for Ford. It's a real issue for the UAW. Like that part, that aspect of it is 100% correct. Anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit, though. Let's finish this Russia shit.
Is still at the center of politics and therefore is going to be around for many years to come.
So what do you expect over the next 6 years?
I think we're going to see an even more emboldened Putin.
Who do I support? UAW versus cheap Chinese EV? UAW, 100%. Dude, guys, I am in favor of letting China do its own fucking thing. Leave it alone. I'm also in favor of American labor. Do you understand? I literally do not utilize Chinese factories when doing my own merchandise, which is coming out this week, by the way. Be on the lookout. The next line is coming out. Okay? What do? I use American labor union shops for my merchandise. Why do I do it? Because I put my money where my motherfucking mouth is. Okay? I am a supporter of unionized labor in the United States of America. As far as our foreign policy goes, yeah, I don't think we should try to fuck their bag up. I don't think we should try to destroy them. I don't think we should be interfering consistently in their affairs. Right? This motherfucker never gives us a heads up, I swear to God. I just gave you the heads up. What the fuck do you need a heads up for? Money, probably. People want to make sure that they have enough saved up so they can buy the merch.
This is a man who will now have 6 more years in power, and then because of change,
especially because it sells out. That's why I don't usually give a heads up, because it sells out so quick that, like, I feel like if I give a heads up, then it's gonna sell out even faster. You know what I mean?
that he introduced to the Constitution in 2020, he can run again in 2030 to stay in power until 2036, at which stage he will be 83. I think we're likely to see more domestic repression, more use of coercion, the Kremlin taking unpopular decisions that it didn't want to in the lead up to the election, where it wanted to present a Russia that was confident and rosy and the state providing support to people. So it's going to be an even uglier Russia domestically, but also emboldened when it comes to the ongoing war against Ukraine.
You talk about making unpopular decisions. I mean, there have been huge losses in this war for Russia, upwards of 300,000 people. Given he has said what he said about the war and what lies ahead, does it give him scope also to implement full mobilization there in Russia?
That is certainly the question that many people are grappling with. But I think it's not certain that Putin will, now that he has been re-elected, call a full mobilization. And the reason is because when they called the partial mobilization in September 2022, it was so deeply unpopular, Putin's own approval ratings took a hit, that the Kremlin just probably won't want to do that. Of course, it's difficult to predict at this stage, but I think it's more likely that the Kremlin will find steps. It will take steps in order to find new manpower to feed the voracious appetite of the war machine in Russia through things that go under the radar. So recruiting people in different ways without the big policy announcement that could be deeply unpopular of a full mobilization.
Putin calls U.S. undemocratic and addresses Navalny death after Russian election win. This is what I was talking about earlier, where he's just fucking flexing. He's flexing on his haters, and he's smoking on the Navalny pack by openly recognizing it, talking about it, and being like, oh, it just life happens. Some people just die in prison, you know? It's crazy. Very sad that we were in the process of deal, and, you know, life happened. It's like death happened. He didn't kill him? Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Muslim world needs a Putin. He didn't kill him. Heart Putin. You're so dumb, bro. Yeah, the Muslim world needs a Putin. Yeah, remember last time the Muslim world had a Putin? As in Putin in Chechnya? Yeah, that went really well. He did really well there to the Muslims. He did really well by the Muslims there. So fucking dumb. I personally went to vote yesterday, everyone, and I stayed for an hour and watched people vote. Almost 70% voted against fucking Putin, as well as everyone said they voted for Dovanko of his hope he wins. And after election, this motherfucker said Putin should continue the Ukraine war. Yeah, because they're all fucking fake. The one dude that wasn't even a good dude that at least was like, okay, the 99% Hitler to Vladimir Putin's 100% Hitler was killed, okay? Like literally. Every other guy is his guy. What the fuck?
Узнать мое мнение по поводу демократичны ли у нас выборы
You know my opinion regarding whether our elections are democratic or
или нет?
not.
Я считаю, что
I
демократичны.
believe they are democratic. And on the contrary, in some countries such as yours, the
Народ в
US,
некоторых странах, ну, например, в вашей стране, разве можно считать демократичным использование административного ресурса для того, чтобы нападать на одного из кандидатов?
Oh, dude, he's doing the fucking Brandon is actually, how can there be a democracy when Brandon is actually fucking using the courts to attack Trump? Prigozhin was on a Boeing 737, buddy, but keep spreading that Zell Disney as of Uganda. Okay, no one who's pushing Z is that creative, okay? I know you're memeing MHUD as like a Z pusher, but literally not a single Z pusher I've ever encountered is like this funny to be able to come up with a statement like that. Hasan, really clueless how dog shit Russia is with Putin. Navalny would be 1,000,000% better. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Brother, Russia is so goddamn close in like, Russia is such a perfect analog for Turkey, both in the authoritarian strongmen leading. I know. I didn't love the coalition against Recep Tayyip Erdogan, but I certainly was advocating for him. I get it. Okay, that's why I said Navalny would be the 99% Hitler to Putin's 100% Hitler. Putler. I didn't say Putin is good. I did say Navalny would be better than Putin. Anyway, why you don't speak about the genocide Israel's doing and the support of U.S.? Putin is not the problema. Yes, famously, I never talk about genocide Israel is doing. Number one defender of Israel here. Hello. Как дела, как тебя зовут? What's up? My name is Hasan. It's a fake Muslim name I'd use to throw you off because I love Israel. That's because they're all like that Has guy. Dude can't even remember which race he claims to be. That's just normal Balkan behavior, though. Navalny, the neo-Nazi, better? Are you kidding me? Oh, God, this is the worst liberal take you got. Dude, come on. I know he was a neo-Nazi. Okay, I know. It is ridiculous to act like Vladimir Putin is doing anything good. Like, there is no, it's so fucking stupid. What's better, neo or Nazi? Yeah, it's just like, no, by the way, not a single person is like voting for Navalny because they're like, I mean, I'm sure there was some neo-Nazis or whatever, but like, I hope you guys understand. This is if there was a race between Navalny and fucking Vladimir Putin, it would be a race between two CIA adjacent people, okay? Two capitalist, incredibly right-wing, ultra-nationalist, CIA adjacent motherfuckers duking it out with one another. What are you talking about? Like, how do you think Putin came to power? It's so stupid. This argument is so dumb. Navalny would have broken up Russia and there'd be a civil war and millions dead Russia due to his racism, so you're wrong on that. Voting for Navalny is voting against Putin, that's all. Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, people know that it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Nobody's like thinking that Navalny's going to win. It's more so to be like, this is the only thing. This is the only thing I can vote against. Stop saying you dislike Putin and say that you really mean you hate multipolarity. Yes, I hate multipolarity. That's why everyone always says I'm sucking Xi Jinping's cock, famously, and say that I'm an asset for the state of China because Navalny is the Gulen of Russia. I think that's a relatively fair assessment. I don't think that's like wrong. That's why I said Vladimir Putin is still popular as a figure ultimately. I do not think Vladimir Putin is a good guy, just like I don't think Recep Tayyip Erdogan is a good guy. The people of Russia deserve better leadership. They do not have better leadership. So at the moment, what they had was a protest vote against Vladimir Putin. That protest vote against Vladimir Putin was killed. These are all, in my opinion, I mean, some of this is obviously assessments that I'm making that we don't know the full reality of, but I think it's a relatively educated take to, assume that he was killed. A protest vote that was a fucking CIA puppet, Lamau. I don't think you understand. What do you think Vladimir Putin's background is? Like, I don't know where this notion comes from that like you think Vladimir Putin is somehow like not a capitalist and also not like an intelligence asset from the jump. The only difference is he is positioned against the United States. That's it. On certain issues. The U.S. supported a coup in Ukraine that threw out the democratic... Oh, my God. Okay.
В президенты Соединенных Штатов, используя в том числе и судебные инстанции.
To attack one presidential. We have no preference for any of the candidates for the president of the United States of America.
Из кандидатов в президенты Соединенных Штатов Америки. Мы будем
We
работать
will
с
work
тем,
with anyone
кому
who
окажут доверие
voters
избирателей.
trust.
Но использование
But the use of
административных
administrative
ресурсов
resources
судебной
of the
системы,
judicial
но это
system.
же стало просто смешным.
Well, it is simply
И
become
позором
disgrace
на
to the
весь
whole
мир
world
для
for the
Соединенных
United
Штатов, для
States.
вашей демократической, так называемой в кавычках, системы. Я имею все основания
I
полагать,
have every
что
reason to
никакой
believe that today
демократии,
we do not
во
observe
всяком
any democracy
случае,
in your
в ходе
country, at least during the
предвыборных
election
процессов
processes.
В некоторых странах Запада,
In
в
some
том числе
Western
в Соединенных
countries,
Штатах,
including the
сегодня мы не
USA.
наблюдаем. Поэтому примите ответную шайбу.
Putin is a former KGB who compares himself to fucking Peter the Great. Can Chad be rational and not act like he's some hero just because the U.S. West isn't a fan of him? I don't know if there's anyone who's like unironically pushing Z. I feel like I make fun of them so much that like, I mean, maybe there are some people who like think he's like secretly a communist. No, my favorite is when people say that like the real leadership, the real communism is the Russian Communist Party, as though they are not controlled opposition, completely controlled by Vladimir Putin. Like, that's another funny one. I think ultimately Putin, just like every other fucking country on the planet, has the capacity to not do evil and chooses to do evil shit regardless for capitalist interests, for personal interests. And especially in the process of like a continued invasion with death and destruction that befalls the Ukrainian population, it's fucking ridiculous objectively to say that he is a good dude in any meaningful capacity, because he's not. Okay? He's objectively bad when it comes to domestic treatment of Russian citizens, and he's objectively bad when it comes to his foreign policy. It's ridiculous. Pushing Z is like the people that defend Putin. Z is on the side of the tanks. That invaded Ukraine. It means like it's just the direction, I think, right? The direction of the invasion, like it signified where the tanks were going, like where the Zapad. Yeah, Zapad. I don't push Z, I push P, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So let's not pretend like Ukraine is not corrupt as hell. Yes, of course. I've talked about how corrupt Ukraine is many, many times over, which is part of the reason why people say I'm a Vladimir Putin defender. Except it doesn't matter. Your corruption, it does not fucking matter when you're being invaded. Okay? Remember this guy, the Z guy? Nothing is more convincing that Russia's elections are fair and balanced than featuring an American accused of running a sex cult that exploited people with addiction to satisfy a spanking fetish on national television, praising it. Oh, dude, isn't this guy like a fucking, like a crazy, what the fuck is this guy? He's like a commie, isn't he? But, Caleb Maupin. He's like Nazball. He's not even a commie. I think he's like, or a Larashite, maybe. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't care. These guys are insane. He's the spanky tanky. Yeah, that makes so much sense. God. You should thank the Lord every day of your fucking life that this is one of the only normal, like, very anti-imperialist communities literally anywhere. Okay? Like, think about that. Think about the fucking gold mine that you're sitting on. That, like, you have a community of people who are socialist and socialist adjacent, okay, that care about workers' rights, that will even cover electoralist politics in the United States of America from a objectively leftist position, and more importantly than all of those other things, definitely anti-imperialist, and not a fucking Revcom, not a Larashite, not a Trotskyist community. Like none of these like weird adjacent things that almost always turn into like some kind of fucking weirdo cult. Think about that. Think about how lucky you are that the only inconvenience is the 3-minute ad break at the top of the fucking hour. Many of you don't even know what any of these adjacent things are because you haven't spent enough time in like leftist circles or left book or even organizing or attending protests, I guess, where you see the smelly guys, okay? The crusty guys. It's good that you don't know any of that shit. Don't worry. You don't need to. Maupin and these Z losers, Hinkle Tinkle, Samira Khan went to Russia and met with a literal Nazi, Alexander Dugin. Yeah. Think about the only issue being the top of the hour ad break. Think about that. Now, you don't have to think about it as long as you subscribe. Thinking a white guy from Cali knows best about black liberation? I think you're talking about Bob Avakian, right? You're not talking about me. Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Santon Kishon, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Yeah, the rather right-wing minded side of the communist community is a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. You cannot be a right-wing communist. Okay? It is ridiculous. Nationalism is poison. Nationalism is anti-materialist. You cannot have a nationalistic framing while simultaneously advocating for anything that is inherently Marxist. Okay? That's it. Anyone that fucking eats anyone that drinks from that Kool-Aid inevitably becomes more of a nationalist and infinitely less of a socialist. Okay? That's it. It is inherently oxymoronic. It is idiotic. It's like saying anarcho-capitalist. Okay? These two values conflict with one another. Anarchism and capitalism are inherently contradictory values. Anarchism is the destruction of unjustifiable hierarchies, simply put. Capitalism is built on top of an unjustifiable hierarchy that ain't nobody fucking voted for democratically. Okay? Communism is an economic system, though, so you could be socially right at the same time. It derives from Marxist principles, which at its heart are built on top of dialectical materialism. There is no materialism in nationalism. The only way that you can explain nationalism through materialism is as a mere distraction. I agree with you, but I really think we should push the Texas border back to Guatemala and just make Mexico a U.S. territories and label the cartel terrorists. That's so funny because, like, absolutely. First of all, this was discussed, I believe, in the 1800s, and the American government literally said that would mean we'd have to live with Mexicans, and I don't want that. So no fucking racist person would ever agree with you, not even in principle. Also, it's incredible to just say that, like, we should make Mexico a U.S. territory. That's a wild thing. My man is literally maxing out on the fucking alpha dog colony mindset. Do you react to Thought Slime? If you don't, just say so. I won't link them anymore. If you do, here's a funny video on Caleb Maupin. Sometimes I react to Thought Slime. He's great. What did you say? Oh, liberation such as the Cuban Revolution, nationalism. Yes. Nationalism, once a state has been established, is very different than nationalism of the past as a liberatory movement. Nationalism can be a galvanizing factor in creating a state against a colonial occupation or against a dictatorship. Very different than, like, Irish nationalism is very different than German nationalism. Do you understand? This is something that I have. Yeah, nationalism of the oppressor versus nationalism of the oppressed is a fundamental difference there that many people don't understand because they hear the term and understandably are grossed out against it for good reason. And then sometimes people weaponize that against like black nationalist movements. Not all black nationalist movements are the same, right? There are some that are separatist or extremist and weird and reactionary, and then there are others who are not. A great example of this, thank you, Britannic, which is very prescient, very important to talk about now, is Israeli nationalism versus Palestinian nationalism. Shut up, Kubian. Bro, you have a Putin is JD Pawn. Makes sense. First, these criticize him. All right, maybe Putin isn't JD Pawn, but he's our best shot at JD Pawn. Yeah, dude, he's doing permanent first world genocide. That's why he's killing Ukrainians. When I think of the developed world, I'm thinking of like the grayest village you've ever seen with like a babushka living in it, okay, inside of the mud, getting fucking lasered by a rocket. And I'm thinking, this is good. This is permanent first world genocide, okay? That's awesome. Yeah. The only way we liberate the global south is by genociding Eastern Europe. Like literally just dire conditions. People living basically in like developing nation conditions, okay? Inside of like one step elevated from a fucking mud hut. We should just keep killing those guys instead of, yeah, that's how to do permanent first world genocide. Yeah. By this logic, unironically, it literally is like Hitler looking at Hitler and being like, what are you talking about? Hitler's doing permanent first world genocide. Like, I mean, he kind of did. Hitler did more permanent first world genocide than fucking Putin is doing. Jesus Christ. You're out of your mind, dude. What the fuck? Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. Dude, this community is so funny. I don't understand the hate sometimes. All right, let's keep going. Putin also made his first public comments on the death of opposition leader Navalny, claiming he had agreed to a prisoner swap before Navalny's sudden death in the Arctic prison. Before people fucking yell at me, I'm saying, like, the comparison between Putin and Hitler in this regard does not favor either party, okay? I'm saying that it's ridiculous to say that he's doing a JD Pawn style anti-imperialist action by killing by lasering a bunch of fucking Ukrainian babushkas, okay?
Некоторые коллеги сказали, и не сотрудники администрации, некоторые там люди сказали, что есть идея обменять господина Навального на некоторых людей, которые находятся в местах лишения свободы в западных странах. Вы можете мне поверить, можете нет. Человек, который со мной говорил, еще фразу не закончил. Я сказал, я согласен. Но, к сожалению, вот случилось то, что случилось.
Yeah, unfortunately, what happened, happened.
Только при одном условии сказал, что
But there was only one condition. We would exchange him.
Пускай там сидит. Вот и все.
But he wouldn't come back. Let him sit there.
Ничего здесь.
That is all, but it happens. There's nothing you can do about it.
Вот такова жизнь.
This can't be Putin. This must be a clone. Dude, another incredible analog between Putin and Erdogan is the constant, like, he's dying memes. This happens literally in every country with, like, an authoritarian strongman that has existed in perpetuity. Actually, really interesting. I don't know if there's a Chinese version of this with Xi Jinping. I don't know. I've never heard it from the netizens. Maybe they have a similar thing, but I think it's more of a testament to his popularity in comparison to these guys' popularity. Russians have been saying, yeah, Putin has been cloned for like 10 years now. Russians have been saying Putin's been cloned and he's going to die for 10 fucking years. Same with Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is on the edge of cancer. Okay? Recep Tayyip Erdogan is on the edge of cancer for as long as I have lived. Do you understand? This man, according to the Turkish people who are anti-Erdogan, is always dying. Okay, he's gonna die like tomorrow. He's gonna die tomorrow. He's gonna die tomorrow. It's just, I've given up. I've completely given up on that meme from, yeah, az kaldı abi, birazdan. Trust me, bro. Bro, he's dying, bro. You don't understand, bro. It's hopium. I'm gonna tell you right now, evil never dies, okay?
Following breaking news just coming into CNN right now, attorneys
these are the clones. Educate yourself.
Trump say they're unable.
Bro, by the way, I like that we have our own version of this where we do it with Joe Biden. It's just called a facelift. Well, not even a facelift, but like Botox. Okay? This is called aging. For those of you who don't know, it's called aging. Gracefully, mind you. Okay? Gracefully. I think he's created an organic system that the Chinese people feel and know will exist beyond Xi, whereas the Russian population knows they are fucked. Yeah, after Putin, they are fucked. The Turkey-Russia situation is different. If those countries, there's a very real subconscious fear that when the strong man dies, everything will fall into a power vacuum. I think China is different because there is general faith in the party structure outside of Xi. Yes, but I think in Turkey, there is also, I don't think Turkey is the same as Russia in the sense that like post-Erdogan, Turkey fucking collapses. I don't think so. But post-Putin, Russia is fucked. Like, there is still a semblance of a real structure as a consequence of the parliamentary system, with which Erdogan obviously changed into a presidential one. But like, still, there is a parliament. There is a also, I don't know how further Turkey could collapse. The economy is in the dumps permanently. And Turkey's always been like relatively 50-50. That's why I always say Turkish elections are unfair, but they are still free. Whereas in Russia, the elections are both unfair and also not free, right? It sucks, but that is a major difference. Do you think socialists in Russia could seize the power vacuum and Putin bites the dust? No, dude. No. Like, post-Putin Russia is like, I'm talking Haiti style, just like criminal elements. What is unfair versus not free? Unfair means like media blackouts, censorship, propaganda, things like that. Whereas like unfree would imply that like you're jailing or literally executing your opponents, or also not allowing people to vote and you know, like instilling fear in the minds of people that vote against you. In Turkey, it's unfair because of the things I just mentioned. A lot of censorship, you know, a lot, just like Recep Tayyip Erdogan literally fucking did a national broadcast day before the election that was aired on every single platform. He has also jailed some of the political opposition as well, but like there is still like a viable counter to him in the country that 50% of the country definitely still very much like rides for. Whereas what else Erdogan does? Oh, Erdogan also has like a very corrupt, permanently calcified institutional control where like that basically recycles or reignites a genuine amount of like support through the party structure. Like being a part of the party offers you benefits, being a part of the party offers you additional welfare, being a part of the party offers you job opportunities, things of that nature. And when you control the country for like fucking, you know, 20, 30 years, that's how you reinforce your real support. He has also many Turks in Germany who voted for him. Overrated impact. I agree. That's just whatever. Turkey's press freedom, according to RSF. Yeah, it's in the fucking dumpies, dude. There's no fucking press freedom.